Welcome back. This is Retro Depot, where we talk about everything concerning gaming, vintage computers and consoles, as well as general technology. It's been a long time since I've reported back on the SBC V2 single board computer that I had ordered during a purchase of PCBs from overseas. I use the overseas board house because it's really cheap and they can get the boards to me fast versus a lot of the board manufacturers here in the States that are really expensive and just really don't offer any real benefit to me, I don't believe. Quality is about the same for the boards that I get for overseas, so until they can actually start competing with the Chinese, to be honest with you, I tend to use them. Besides, that's where a lot of the chips are coming from anyway, so... but this particular computer, I'd purchased it back in, I believe, February. And once I'd purchased it, I believe I did a short write-up on the blog. I took some pictures of it. Never really got a chance to add chips to it until a couple weeks later. And I don't think I ever gave an update on it. But I have gotten all the chips with the exception of two chips, U25 and U21. U21 is a DS1302 real-time clock. I have not added that chip, but I do have some on order, and hopefully as soon as I get here, I can add that, and my real-time clock functionality will be working. The other one is U25, which is a DS1210, which is basically a battery backup chip. Now, whenever I first got everything on this board, with the exception of those two chips, it was probably, I want to say March, probably early March. And the issue that I ran into is no matter what I tried, I could not get any life out of the board. I mean, I probed it with an oscilloscope. I probed it with a logic analyzer. It was reading and writing and accessing memory, but it was not accessing any I/O. I knew for a fact that the ROM that I had installed on this card was designed to communicate over the built-in serial port. So I knew something was wrong. Now, a couple days ago, I actually posted on the RetroBrew computers forum, and I'd kind of, I gave a list of all the components I was using, the actual part numbers, and I, kind of relayed to everybody the problems that I was experiencing, what I had noticed, and, screenshots of the garbage that I was getting out of the serial port and things like that. And one of the guys had noticed that I did not have the DS1210 chip installed. Now, even though I have no plans of using a battery backup, that's actually a pretty big problem, because the power and the chip select for the SRAM does not actually go from any of the decoding logic to the SRAM. It goes through this DS1210 chip, which is essentially developing a battery-backed RAM drive. So that's going to be a problem. So what I did was I jumpered the board, as they suggested doing, and as soon as I did that, I booted it back up, and I got life. I got life out of the board. So that was a good thing. So this board is up and running now, and of course I have the DS1302 and the DS1210 chips on order. I'm in the process of building an enclosure for this computer. I've got something pretty elaborate that I'm planning. I'm using a 5U 19-inch 300mm deep network enclosure for rack mount network gauge. So I've got a pretty big enclosure that I'm going to stick this in. It's going to have some hard drives. It's going to have, lots of other goodies on the inside and lots of, I/O in the back and potentially in the front. I've got an idea about sticking some I/O in the front so that you can use this almost as a workbench computer. The idea being is that you can hook up to let's say a DB25 in the front, and it basically is logic probes, or can be used to right lines high, right lines low. So if you're trying to step through, some type of hardware, it can be beneficial. So that's kind of the idea that I'm using this enclosure for, is that I can use this not only as a fun computer project, but also as a tool. So, having said that, this computer is pretty pretty cool. To the right side of the picture that you see, there's a 96 pin header, and this is the Molex header, but I don't know the actual terminology for this type of header. But essentially what it allows is it allows you to plug this into a backplane, which other expansion boards would plug into. And everything's buffered, so you don't have to worry about it addressing too many boards or anything like that. I'm planning on using an 8 card backplane, but I think that they even make a 12 card one, but it's made specifically for a particular enclosure. But having said that, let's take a look at this board. I'm going to go ahead and power it up, and we'll go through some of the features that it has. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really know a whole lot about CP/M. I just never had a chance to really use it growing up. We had some 8-bit micros like the Commodore 64 and the TI 99, but by the time we actually got a IBM compatible computer in the house, DOS was already there. I mean, we never really did go through the CP/M phase. It just wasn't something that we had. We were lucky to have the Commodore 64, to be honest with you. So having said that, I don't really know a lot about CP/M. I've got another computer that runs CP/M. Actually, I've got several, but I've never really had the opportunity to sit down and really learn about CP/M. And this computer system here is going to be what I use to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and power it up now. You should see TerraTerm up, and we'll just watch this thing go. Now, as you can tell, it immediately starts finding hardware, and it's looking for devices. And it looks like it may have frozen. I think it did. Still a little bit buggy, but of course it's also just a PCB sitting on my desk at the moment. So let's give this thing a reset. See if that helps. Having quite a few problems here. Let's try something else. Turning the power back on. There we go. Now what it's doing is it's actually looking for devices. And the reason why this is important is because the ROM is actually set up to begin looking for peripherals that are connected to it. So it's looking for example the real-time clock module. It's looking for the color video display unit. It's looking for the VGA card. It's looking for the PPIDE interface, which is a interface that allows you to have a IDE card or an IDE drive. It's looking for all these things just to see what's available, and once it's done, it gives you a list of the drives that it's found. So it's found a RAM drive, it's found a ROM drive, and it knows that there's a serial port. Now it thinks that there's a connector for an IDE drive through the parallel port interface, but it's not actually there, so it can't tell me how much is there. Now once it does this, it gives you several options: CP/M, Z system. It has a built-in monitor, and then it'll also give you a list of the different disks, which is essentially this information here. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I have not used this enough to really know a lot about what's going on with the monitor, and with CP/M I'm actually very, very novice. I'm almost an absolute beginner, but I know a little bit about it. And we're just going to go ahead and boot up Z system, which Z system is a CP/M clone, like I mentioned. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So it's configuring everything as drives here, and of course it gives you a list of what those drives are. And it says ZS-DOS version 1.1. So if we type dir for directory, we get a list of the programs that are built into ROM. Now these would be files that would be on a floppy drive or a hard drive normally, but you can see quite a few things here. Now like I said, I don't know anything about CP/M, so most of these .com files I don't even know what they're for. You know, I know a couple of them are for like a clearing files, creating files, copying files. There's also some stuff there as far as transfer, like similar to Z modem and X modem and things like that. I don't know anything about them, just being honest, but they've got quite a few things here that you can do. But one thing that they do have on this is the Microsoft Basic. So if we type MBasic, we get Basic 80 Rev 5.21 CP/M version, copyright Microsoft, created 28 July 81. And it shows that it has about 32K of memory free, you know, minus what it's using for the overhead of the monitor. So if we wanted to, we could type a little program here. Now I'm getting some weird character issues right here. I don't think that's with my serial port. It might be. I've been having some problems with it though. I'm aware. I think it has to do with handshaking or something like that. I'm not certain. But it registers. As you can see, the garbage that was up here is not down here, so it's something about it sending those characters back. So we can run this program. Oh, I guess I kind of messed up here. There we go. 1 to 10. Now we can type system and get back into CP/M. And this is currently the ROM drive that is being displayed, but we can also change to the RAM drive. And of course nothing's in there because it's a RAM drive and there's no battery backup. So, and of course if you try to go into any of the other drives, it's just going to give you an error because there's nothing really there. So this is where I'm at with the SBC V2 single board Z80 computer. I still have quite a bit of work to do, and as you can see, I've got a few problems with stability. You know, I'm getting these funny characters here, and I'm hoping that once I actually hook this up to a terminal, I'm not going to have those problems anymore. And hopefully, whenever I hook this up to a whenever I get the actual video display unit board built, I won't have this problem at all, because at that point it'll be sending the information out to either a composite monitor or to a VGA monitor. So hopefully it's not going to be an issue. Like I said, this is kind of a work in progress, but I figured I would show it with people because I've brought it up in conversation several times over the last couple weeks as I've been trying to get this thing working. And of course, you know, thanks to the guys over on the RetroBrew computers forum, they really helped me out a lot and gave me some good pointers. So that's it for today. Any questions whatsoever, feel free to post them in the comments box below. Also check out the website, retrodepot.net. I tend to upload quite a bit on my blog there. Also, if you're interested in the G80S microcomputer, that's a good place to purchase it. We're currently offering the the G80 USB version of the board at this moment, and I'm working on a add-on board for mass storage, video, and keyboard connectivity. It's still in the works. I've got prototype boards on order, so that's something I'm looking at in the future. But in the meantime, like I said, thanks for watching the video, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below.